Hi, I'm Lisa Hutchinson, and today on The Passionate Cook, we're going to meet with Angela Nicol of F&N Happy Farms in Uxbridge, Ontario. So let's go to the kitchen and meet Angela. Angela, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks, Lisa, for having me.
We started off the program saying that you have a farm in Uxbridge called F&N Happy Farms.
That's correct. It's Family Nicol Happy Farm.
That's what I thought it was, Angela.
I like the way you said it, too.
Yeah. I was very careful to say it. We're so fortunate in Uxbridge that we have a very tight-knit farming community. And you can get just about everything you need here. And summer's just such an amazing time for all the produce. What type of things do you have on your farm?
Well, Lisa, we have everything to make a soup, a salad, or a stew. So right now, the tomatoes, still green because of the weather, but they're starting to ripen up. Lots of garlic, harvested all the garlic. We're right into the herbs and the greens and the patty pans. And
beautiful. And you've got animals on your farm as well?
that's correct.
Okay,
We have
what do we have?
everything, Lisa. So the chickens, the turkeys, the pigs.
Now, I've had your chicken. Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, turkey,
Thank you.
pigs. What else?
And we have our pets, so the horses, the donkeys, the llamas, the cats, the dogs. Did I say goat? No, I
Oh
didn't
my
say goat.
goodness. And how many people do you have working on this farm?
Well, we wouldn't say working. We get by with volunteers. We also have a program called the CSA Workshare.
Okay.
So you might know community supported agriculture.
Absolutely. This is where we get a
Yep.
basket to our door every week on filled with what is fresh, not what we've chosen, but what is fresh, what is in season,
That's
and
correct.
what you have, and we get this every week delivered, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And I've been known in the community to be a hardcore CSA. So I don't.
Hardcore?
Yes. So I don't deliver.
Oh,
And I would prefer that you come visit me at the farm because I
Right.
figured if I bend over for you, you can drive to the farm.
all right.
And I also prefer that you work alongside with me 4 hours every week, and then you get to fill your basket when you leave.
Wow, well that's a neat approach. I haven't heard that one. Okay, very good. Your farm gets its name from the fact that you raise happy animals. What does that mean? I joke when I do cooking classes that this chicken is a happy chicken. I call it chicken on a chaise lounge.
Yes.
But what makes your animals happy?
Well, one of the volunteers, one of the interns actually, she said it just right. She says, Angela, you raise your food with good intentions.
Okay.
So we don't keep them confined.
Right.
We protect them with electric fencing. They're allowed access to the garden and to the pasture, and we feed them. We've been feeding them with non-GMO food when we can.
Okay.
We care for them. I mean, we love them. We have to bring them for processing.
Okay. And so your chickens have free range of
range.
the farm.
Right.
The meat that then comes out of these chickens, it's not exactly the same as what you'd get in a supermarket, and that's because we've got some maybe steroids and other things that have been injected into those chickens that your chickens never experience.
No, so Lisa, I'm going to tell you how we raise our
Okay,
chickens.
good.
So they come from a hatchery.
Okay.
We raise them as day-olds.
Okay.
We feed them non-medicated feed until about 5 weeks, and then we start mixing. It's called a chicken grower. So we
Okay.
use a non-GM grower, and we raise ours for 12 weeks, and then we send them for processing. So we load them up ourselves, and
And your
we just
chickens
do
are
everything
big.
ourselves. Yes.
Like for that, that many weeks old, you've got giant chickens.
Well, I've seen chickens that week at that stage of the game, and they can't walk. So ours are still able to walk and walk around.
And they're big, juicy suckers. Okay, so you talk about having a volunteer program, and that is called Workaway.
Yes, so Workaway is one program, and I'm so glad you mentioned it because if you're looking for an opportunity to travel wherever you want in the world, you contact who's ever on the program, and for about 5 hours a day you exchange room and board for helping out. And it doesn't have to be on an organic farm, it can be anywhere, but the woofing program, Worldwide Opportunities on Organic Farms.
Holy cow.
I know. That is geared towards people who want to experience organic farms.
Okay.
So same thing, it's about 5 hours a day. and it's room and board for exchange help in the garden.
And you've done this for how many years?
Going on to my 7th year.
And you've made friends. These people are now lifelong friends.
Yep.
They actually come back to see you.
Yeah, we had recently somebody come back from Japan just to visit us. It was really nice. Now she's married, all grown up, and today is Annette's birthday.
Well, there you go. Happy birthday, Annette. If Annette is watching. Roger's from Japan.
From Germany.
Oh, from Germany. Okay.
Yeah, we've had people from Italy and Germany and Japan and Switzerland and.
That's an amazing opportunity. And what about people here? Do we know of people that have used that program to travel the rest of the world to, figure out how they're doing farming somewhere else?
Yes, there's actually a program for young people, the Edinburgh Award. So I've had a couple of teenagers
Isn't
come.
that the Prince Philip? I think
something.
Yes, because he's really big into that. No, Prince Charles. Prince Charles.
So I had 17-year-olds come to the farm, just living in Markham. And they spent a week with us, and I gave them any kind of challenge, seeding, weeding, feeding the animals, and they found the most difficult was my paperwork.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
You made them do paperwork?
I made them do, it was raining, and we were standing around, and farmers have paperwork too.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
I see you brought a big bucket of fabulous vegetables for us. We're going to go and cook with those a little later, but maybe you can tell us what's in this basket.
Well, I can tell you right now. So Missy, our current intern, and her partner pulled out the tarragon as I was running to the truck and helped me peel some garlic. And the celery just came out of the ground as well. And the patty pans are
Look at these patty pans.
Aren't they? So
they're amazing. But we are going to go to a commercial break. We're going to come back, talk more about this, and I'm going to get started making a shiitake mushroom risotto because I cannot even believe that these are shiitake mushrooms. I have never seen them so big. So we'll be right back.
Great.
To cook with your vegetables.
Thank you.
Now all these vegetables look so delicious, and we're going to make a shiitake mushroom risotto today, even though I could use absolutely everything. So I just want to get started, and then I want to come back here and talk about what else you've brought for us today. So I'm just going to get my pot up to speed. People think risotto is a difficult dish to make when in fact it's one of the easiest and most comforting dishes to make. So I'm just going to show you today. Everything is already measured out, so that makes it nice and easy. We're going to start with some butter. Everybody loves butter. And along with the butter, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil, and we do that just so that the butter doesn't burn. We're going to make sure that that melts nice and evenly.
I'm going to be useful here.
Yes, you could be. Thank you very much. You're always useful, Angela. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is add our onion. Okay, you can hear that already start to sizzle because our pan is nice and hot. Okay. And these onions are just everyday onions. They're not from the fabulous F and Happy Farm.
No. They're, you know what?
I like to say that.
I like it the way you say it, too.
Okay, good.
But you brought up a good point because I can't grow everything, and there's fabulous farmers around here. And we get together actually once a week at the farmers market right up the road.
Okay, and that's on a Sunday?
Every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah, and you know what, I go there often. I love it. There are other things than just, obviously I go to get my vegetables, my meat, but there's a lot of other people there doing different things. They're selling their jams, their jellies. What other things are they selling?
Actually, you'll like this one. The newest thing on the block is wine. So you can sample some wine,
Really?
and if you
But
like
you can't
it,
be buying wine.
you can buy wine at the farmers market.
I don't know this, Angela.
Yes,
so
you.
let me just, while I'm in a state of shock about the wine at the farmer's market,
Yes.
I'm going to add my rice. This is called carnaroli rice, and that is a really nice rice for risotto. And the reason for that is because it's a little bit more forgiving than regular rice, meaning that you can continue to add water and or stock, and it won't get waterlogged.
Did you just say water?
water?
Not chicken stock? Only
Not
chicken?
yet.
Okay.
You can use water. You can use dried porcini liquid
Okay.
that you've soaked it in. You can use, and I'm glad you asked that because you can flavor this with anything. Okay, so we're just going to stir that around, make sure every grain of rice is coated. And what I was trying to say there with the carnaroli is that it holds its integrity and there's still a little bit of a bite to it, and that's what you want with risotto. Okay, so every little grain of rice is now coated. I'm going to add some white wine. This is just a dry white wine. Again, this is a basic risotto that we're making. You can always use a red wine if you're doing something with meat. You can use all sorts of different cheeses. This is the one we're doing today. So I'm just going to wait for that wine to reduce just a bit because you can actually smell that wine is very raw. And we want it to reduce and we want it to mellow a little bit.
Okay.
Once that wine has been absorbed by the rice, I'm going to then add my shiitakes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to start adding chicken stock, just a bit at a time. And that is what differentiates risotto from a basic pot of rice where you'd put all the chicken stock in, put the lid on, turn the heat down and let it cook fully. So we're going to add it a bit of it at a time, allowing the chicken stock to get into the grain of rice and be nice and creamy without having to add cream.
Okay.
All right. Do you make risotto?
I was just thinking.
You're going to start.
No, I was just thinking, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she would actually fry the mushrooms or vegetables first and then keep adding.
Okay.
And you know that little bit of wine? I noticed that we didn't take a little because of TV or?
No, we didn't, because I didn't think of it. But oh my goodness, good point. We should be drinking when we're cooking. It makes it a lot more fun. Now, is your grandmother an Italian nonna?
My nonna.
Oh,
Yes.
so you're Italian.
Background?
I am a wannabe Italian, just so you know.
I thought that's okay.
So yes, you can absolutely do that, but we're still in the frying stages.
Yes.
So this
okay.
is okay. So once I start seeing that we don't have any liquid, this is the important time. We don't want the liquid to evaporate so we have a dry pan.
Okay.
We want to just watch, and this is why a lot of people say that you have to stand over top of risotto. Practice makes perfect, and the more times you make risotto, the more comfortable you get to realize that it's not dry, but it's time.
Okay.
Okay, so using my fabulous ladle, how nice is that ladle?
That's a beautiful
I know,
ladle.
it's
Could
gorgeous.
I keep stirring? Do you think?
You can definitely keep stirring.
All right. Because
Let me
you know.
just add, there we go. So I'm going to add 2 ladles, and then I'm going to wait until those are reduced.
So would you suggest just to leave it as is?
Well, you know what? I leave it as is right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I start seeing that it starts to bubble, I stir it.
Okay.
Okay, so while we're doing that,
Right.
let's go back to our fabulous basket. And I just can't even believe the size of this shiitake mushroom. Like, look at that. I would think that was a portobello, it's so big, but then the stem is so different.
Yeah. You can actually grow these. And if you come to the farmer's market, there's a fellow who sells shiitake logs.
Okay.
He actually sells all kinds of wonderful mushrooms.
So what do you mean by a shiitake log?
So shiitakes grow on logs. So it's a nice hardwood log. It's about 5 feet long so that you can manage them. They're drilled. The spores are injected into the log. And then what you have to do is soak your log and then they grow. So one log will give you 1 pound of mushrooms for about 6 years. So you can actually
No kidding.
Yes.
So anyone could do that.
Anybody can
'Cause
grow
I'm really
shiitakes.
not good at gardening,
No.
but I think I could do that.
You could, because all you have to do is make sure you soak it and then just leave it in the shade.
And how often do I water the log?
Well, I'm going to be truthful with you, Lisa. I don't soak because I let the rain do what it needs to do. But from what I understand from Luke is that you just, when you want your mushrooms, you soak your log for about 2 weeks and then you get your mushrooms.
Soak it every day. Go out and water your log.
Yeah, for 2 weeks.
And then you get a pound of mushrooms.
You get a pound of mushrooms for that season.
Okay, so you can
Per log.
So you okay. So then if I want to be a shiitake mushroom farmer,
Right.
I have lots of them.
Lots.
So really, I would never do this because, quite frankly, I'm not going to have one log to have 1 pound of mushrooms for one time.
You're going to
Okay.
come and visit us.
But I'm going to come and visit you, and that's why we have a shiitake mushroom farmer. Okay. What is this? And I'm not asking because I'm not a cook and I don't know. I just think that this is basil on steroids.
No, that's a large leaf basil. So basil comes in different varieties. We have
Right.
Thai basil and
Yep.
cinnamon and small leaf, but this is a large leaf basil. This is what I like to use for my sauces.
I think it's absolutely amazing. We're going to go to a commercial break. I'm going to keep stirring this risotto. We'll finish it off when I come back, but we still have other vegetables to talk about. I can't get over this either. My basil does not look like this summer, and I think I can grow basil. But that's basil on steroids. That and buffalo mozzarella and that tomato.
And that tomato.
We'll be back right after this.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this is looking fantastic. I think it has just a couple more minutes, and then we'll add the rest, and we'll be tasting before you know it. So back to our bowl of surprises here. Garlic, Ontario garlic, the best garlic ever. Really pungent, and so different from Chinese garlic in the stores. I recommend everybody goes and gets a big, huge basket or braid of garlic, keep it in their basement, use it all the time. How can we preserve garlic, Angela, so it can last us through the winter?
Okay. So when you buy your garlic, try and find cloves that or heads of garlic that are nicely closed.
Okay.
If you can find them with the stem, that's great.
Okay.
And don't look anything, that looks healthy.
Right.
So if you buy garlic that's open like this,
Right.
right,
Use it right away.
you can use it. It'll last, right? So this is a head and this is a clove.
Right.
So I recommend that if you have a garden, you can also grow your own garlic.
Right.
So when you come to the farmer's market on Sunday,
You are really good at plugging that. I think we need to say, where is our farmer's market?
it's just on Brock Street, up the road at the
At
arena.
the arena.
At
Okay,
the arena.
9 till 1
9 to 1.
on Sundays.
Yes.
Okay.
So all the farmers right now are carrying their garlic.
Right.
So I wouldn't recommend you just buy a garlic and then just take it and plant it. Make sure that the garlic you're planting is healthy, it has a good root base, and you're telling your farmer you want to plant this garlic.
Okay.
They'll give you advice on how to grow it. So that's another good reason why you should come to the farmer's market. Not only are you getting vegetables that have just been picked,
Right.
you can get advice.
And I think, too, as the season winds down and the farmer's market closes, you'll have already gotten to know your farmer, and I'm sure that they're going to have winter vegetables that are available, as well as poultry and beef and everything else. And so you want to get to know your farmer so that you can buy those things in the off season.
Right.
Now, we looked at the patty pan squash. That is gorgeous. You
you.
would eat it with a dip. I would
would.
hollow it out and stuff it and roast it. We've got tarragon that we're actually using in this shiitake mushroom risotto, which is beautiful. Smells like licorice.
Thank you.
Okay, this tomato.
Yes.
Give me strength. Like who? Look at this tomato. This is a huge tomato.
I'm just showing off there now, Lisa.
I'll say you're
I'm just
showing
showing
off.
off.
Okay,
I'm showing off.
gorgeous.
So this is an heirloom tomato. So heirloom tomatoes are really delicate. So the more you touch them, the more you bruise them. So as farmers, we work really hard. We take the seed and we start them. We can start early or later in the season, about 8 weeks before they go into the ground.
Okay.
And we care for them. We love them. We choose to grow heirloom tomatoes because they're ugly, but they're
taste
tasty.
amazing.
They're tasty.
And I can't believe, sometimes you can see these in stores, but really you want to go to a farmer's market and get them fresh and eat them fresh. Don't be thinking that you want to eat this in November.
No.
You want to eat this as soon as you can. Pair it with some fabulous buffalo mozzarella, put it in a salad, eat it by itself, put it in a sandwich. Beautiful.
You're making me hungry, Lisa. I'm
No,
hoping
well,
after this
we're just
segment-
about done. Okay, so here. So take a look at my risotto. You see that the liquid is almost all absorbed.
That's correct.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this more voluptuous by adding some unsalted butter. Okay. I'm going to turn my heat down a little tiny bit. I'm going to grate some Parmesan Reggiano. Oh my goodness. And risotto waits for no man. So once this risotto is done, it is going to be like a lava-like consistency.
Yes.
We're going to pour it into a bowl and we can just sit down and gobble this up.
I know, a nice glass of white wine.
And again with the wine, Angela.
Again, I know.
Yeah, which I can
I've
get
had
at
a
the
long
farmer's
day.
market.
I've had a
No,
long
yeah.
day.
And now I'm putting in some of your amazing tarragon, which goes so well with the shiitakes because they're nice and woodsy and delicious. Okay, I'm going to just do a little drop of pepper. And do you know what else is really nice when you finish a dish like this?
Yes.
Is even though we've cooked off the wine, sometimes in a mushroom risotto, I like to add just a capful of sherry.
Oh, really?
And a dry sherry, Tio Pepe, it's amazing, it's really nutty. And just that raw bit of sherry kind of perks up the risotto. And I'm sure your Nonna wouldn't have done that.
No, I'm thinking no butter, no butter,
yes,
just
okay.
olive oil.
That's right.
And really pure, but the sherry definitely not. Maybe in the cup, but not in the risotto.
Okay, so Angela, tell us about how do people get in touch with you?
We are open at the farm gate on Fridays.
So Farm Gate is
on Fridays
at your farm
at the farm
on Feasby Road.
on Feasby Road.
And your website address?
Is F and Happy Farm.
FN
Happy Farm.
happyfarm.ca. Okay, and people can go on Fridays. You're
Yes.
open,
Yeah,
and
12 to
they
6.
can purchase any of your vegetables. They can see you at the farmers market
Yep.
on Sundays.
That's correct.
Perfect. Okay, and then there's something that happens in the winter with the farmers. What's going on in the winter? Do you go inside the arena, or do you still?
Well, they're changing the farmers market where they're open until the end of October.
Okay.
And then last year we had one day only at the arena. So it was about the first week in December. So we might do the same thing, but stop by at the market. You can also Google the farmers market in Uxbridge and all the latest information will be there.
Okay. All right, let's dig in.
Okay, just like this.
Oh, that tarragon.
That's delicious. It's a good thing I have another spoon because there's no double dipping.
That is delicious.
Mm.
So everyone needs to know risotto is easy. We just did that in about 10-15 minutes. We weren't stirring constantly. That was not a hard dish to prepare. Delicious. Your shiitakes are beautiful in there. Tarragon is gorgeous. And everything fresh from the garden.
You did it justice. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Now, just before we go, I also want to just talk about quickly, if we aren't going to be in the farmers market in Uxbridge, a lot of our farmers go down to the city.
That's correct.
And so where would they go?
Actually, the closest one is just in Newmarket. So our farmers go to Newmarket.
Okay.
We have farmers going all the way to the Wardorf School in Richmond Hill.
So can they find this information anywhere?
Yes, they can. You know what? All you have to Google, there's a site called csafarms.ca. You can Google that. You can Google Farmers Market,
Okay.
Ontario Farmers Market. It'll list all the farmers market available, the farmers
Perfect.
who go.
Okay, well, thank you very much. This has been a fabulous session, and I can't wait to finish this risotto with you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hutchinson, and on today's The Passionate Cook, we're going to meet with Adrian Stocking from Willowwind Farm. And we're going to talk all about the different types of meat that he raises on that farm. And of course, we're going to cook up a delicious dish of chicken piccata. Let's get into that kitchen. Adrian, thanks so much for being on the show today. I was trying to be funny in the opening when I said we're going to meet Adrian Stocking, because today it's all about your farm and the different types of meat and poultry that you raise. So welcome to the show.
Well,
but before we even hop into the show, I want to read what's on your website and what Willowwind Farm stands for. And Willowwind is your family farm committed to sustainable farming practices that promote stewardship of the land to preserve it for future generations. And that's a really nice sentiment, considering farmers are out there, they're working hard, you know how busy you guys are, but to also consider keeping that farm and having it sustainable for future generations is absolutely key, and it's so important.
Absolutely, yeah.
So tell me about your farm and what you raise on your farm.
So we're a 50-acre farm, and we rent out some land as well. A lot of what we raise on the farm, or grow on the farm, is vegetables. We have a 5-6 acre market garden.
Okay.
And we sell all that through a CSA and through different farmers markets across the GTA.
So I'm going to talk to you about CSA in a minute, so
Sure.
don't let me forget that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also raise, and we're beginning to get into some fruit production. We're starting to put an orchard in.
Really?
And we also raise livestock on the farm too. And some of the different livestock that we raise on the farm is we have heritage breed pork, so
Okay.
pigs.
And I've had your pork,
Yeah.
and your pork is dynamite.
We do chickens,
Yep.
meat birds. We also do laying hens for eggs, turkeys, and then we have odds and ends, a couple of ducks. We had some goats. We've sold them. We have draft horses on the farm for draft horsepower as well.
Okay.
And yeah, that's about it. So.
Lamb. Did you mention lamb?
I didn't mention lamb. We have raised lamb in the past. We actually sold our sheep flock. We're rebuilding our flock, and part of that rebuild is to clear house.
Okay.
And that's just to give all our fields a rest for a couple of years. We had some disease pressure on one field, parasite pressure in another field. So by clearing house, then we'll get new blood in, new flock. Everything's had a rest. Some of those pressures have subsided, and kind of rebuild on a fresh start. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And most farms, or since I've been here in Uxbridge and I learn of the farming families, farms are passed down through generations, or at
right.
least the idea of being a farmer is passed on through generations. But that's not the case for you.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a bit of both. It's somewhat a little bit. We moved to the property when I was a year old. And so I grew up on the farm. It was always a bit of a hobby farm. My parents had a bed and breakfast. We had the farm for ourselves, for our own food, and also for the bed and breakfast guests, for them to experience what a farm is like. But we weren't selling a lot of produce. We weren't selling a lot of meat. It wasn't a business that way. So I guess, I grew up on the farm, so I have a little bit of that. But then I also got into it and thinking of more, I want to make this a living. I want to make this a business. I want it to be a full-time job for me.
So you loved it.
Yeah, I did. I loved it, yeah.
And as a kid, did you love it?
I
Like,
did.
were you out there helping in your vegetable gardens?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sometimes mandatory.
Chores?
But I love growing up on the farm. The great thing about the farm and being a kid is you have lots of space to run around and do whatever you want to do. Lots of room, lots of animals to play with, lots of things to do. You're not
But a
cooped
lot
up
of
in the house.
work.
A lot of work,
Like, you're
yeah.
up early,
Yeah.
and you don't go to bed till late, and then there's paperwork and
Yep.
lots to do.
It's 24/7 farming. It's not the kind of job where you go to work, you do your thing, you come home, and you're done your job.
That's right.
You're always there. It's 24/7.
And you're
Things can
thinking
go
about those
wrong.
animals,
You're thinking
and
about those animals.
you got to take
absolutely.
care of them. You're just not
Absolutely.
going to Mexico for a week.
They get out in the middle of the night and they're running around, and
Really?
you can be out there.
Oh my goodness.
So all these things.
Well, so
Yeah.
you have a bed and breakfast, and your mom runs that, correct?
Yeah.
And then you have your farm. Then you go to the Uxbridge Farmers Market here on Sundays.
right, yep.
And you also go to other markets in the city.
We
So
do.
which markets
Yeah,
are
we
they?
go to the Junction Farmers Market, which is at Keele and Dundas Street.
Okay,
which
that's
is
a
a
hike.
great. Yeah, it is, which is a great market. I recommend people to go to that. And we also go to Bloor Board and My Pick Market, which is at Bloor and Bathurst Street.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
Bickford Park there. Is that area?
it's right at Bloor and Bathurst.
Okay, yeah, I think that's
Like
where
a
that
block
must.
away.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's great for the city
yeah.
people. You know, it
Absolutely.
used to be that we had the farmers market at the St. Lawrence Market,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're making mini markets everywhere, which gives
Seems
everybody
like
a chance.
There's a new farmers market popping up every week somewhere.
That's
and
excellent,
it's just, I think that's just exemplifying the demand of, one, new farmers growing new products and wanting to get them out there, but also people really hungry for local produce and really wanting to support local farms. And that's what's happening.
And I
yeah.
think the supporting local farms is key, because you mentioned to me before,
Mm-hmm.
when you purchase local foods, you're putting that back into our community. And there's a statistic on that
Yeah.
about how many dollars.
Yeah, I think what a lot of, like you're just bringing up this point, and I think what a lot of people think of local food and thinking about it being great for themselves and great for the environment, but I think what sometimes doesn't get as much notice is how good it is for the local economy.
Right.
And how much supporting local food, and not necessarily farms, but local businesses like yourself here in this store and other stores in this downtown area, but especially farming and agriculture and supporting local agriculture, and how much that can boost the local economy and increase revenue. So I think the statistic that you're thinking about, I think it's for every dollar spent on a local farmer in the local agriculture, about another $3 is created in the local economy. And the idea is that it has this ripple effect. As someone coming to the farmer's market and purchasing something from me, then I take that money and I'm paying my employees, and I'm going to the feed store and I'm buying money, and I'm going out.
Then you're coming
So
to
yeah,
buy cheese
and I'm going to
from
buy
your favorite
cheese
cheese shop.
and my favorite cooking utensils here.
That's right.
And then you're taking that money, and that money stays in the local economy and circulates. And if you look in history, and that's really rural Canada, and that's really where our roots come from, when 95% of the population lived in in rural environments, and that's how we really built our economy.
And we need to get back to that.
We do need to get back to a
Yeah.
lot to that, yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. Then we're going to come back. We're going to make a delicious dish that you can make because you're busy on the farm. You come in, you make a wonderful chicken dish. So we'll come back in just a minute.
All right.
I know you're busy. Someone has to cook for the kids, for
That's
you,
right, yeah.
for your wife. Who's the cook in the family?
Well, I think we both take turns, but the nice thing about being on our farm, especially in the summers, we have a lot of people on the farm. I have 3 interns and apprentices. We have woofers, other people working on the farm. My mom and my dad live on the farm. My uncle lives with us. So what we actually do is we take turns once a week. Everybody takes turns making dinner. So
Nice.
one night is my turn and my wife's turn,
Okay.
Deanna's turn, and then another night is an intern's turn.
And
another night is
everybody
my
eats
mom's turn.
together?
Yeah, and everybody eats together. so.
Nice. So the
That's
whole
just the one
family
meal,
thing.
just one dinner a week. Yeah.
That's still
yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to make something now called chicken piccata, and it's going to be a really fast, easy, delicious meal that you can make at home for everybody on the farm and take minimal time.
That's good. I'm gonna take notes.
There you go. So we're using your fabulous chicken. I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of butter, and I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, and the reason for that is so that the butter doesn't burn, because we're going to just sear this. We want a quick dinner. And once this melts, I'm then going to brown my chicken.
Right.
So when we're talking about your farm and talking about the meat on your farm, how do you raise your animals?
Yeah, that's a good question. I get asked that a lot. So we raise our animals a little differently than, say, a large concentrated feeding operation. So I guess the philosophy behind us and how we raise our animals is we want all the animals to be able to live. We're going to eat them, and we
Right.
kill them, and some people are
Process
sad about
them.
that, process them. So we feel if we're going to do that, then we need to be able to give them a rewarding and deserving
Nice
life that
life,
they deserve, a
yeah.
nice life. And so the main thing for us is to be able to give them the opportunity to be the animals that they are meant to be. So chickens get to run around outside, scratch in the grass, eat
Nice.
bugs, have room to do dust baths. Pigs get to
do, sorry?
dust baths.
Chickens, they like dust
yeah, they do.
baths.
Chickens clean themselves that way. Basically,
Oh.
when you see a chicken and it's flapping its feathers like this in the dirt, what they're doing is cleaning themselves.
Okay.
And what they're doing is they bringing up dirt into their feathers, and it's mixing with their dead skin and all the other bits.
They're
and
exfoliating, Adrian. They're
themselves.
exfoliating.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's
Aren't
pretty.
they clever?
They are very clever. And then so like pigs are a social animal, so we like to raise them in a group together, so they can sleep together, they can be together.
Nice.
They get to be outside, they get to root, wallow, all those kind of things. So we raise our animals. Also, another important part of how we raise our animals is we don't pump them full of antibiotics.
Right.
We don't pump them full of hormones. We're not trying to. They're not units of production for us. We look at them as actually being animals. I think a lot of big operations just see animals as units of production. They don't.
It's money at the end
It's
of
money.
the day.
It's money in, money out.
Right.
Units of production. It could whether it's a chicken or it's a toothbrush being made. It's the same thing almost.
Right.
And so we try to really, I guess, treat them like the living things that they are, not just as units of production.
And that in turn makes them tastier because
Yeah,
they're eating what they're
absolutely.
supposed to eat.
Yeah.
They're exercising.
Yeah.
It makes us feel like we're doing the right thing
And
as
they're
well,
happy
which we are.
too. I mean, that's another thing. A lot of animals in big concentrated feeding operations are really stressed out. Their stress levels are peaking up high. You know, a lot of people, I've raised our pigs together, like I was just mentioning, and people say, oh, don't you have problems with them biting each other? And don't pigs bite the tails off of each other? Well, yeah, if you stick as many as you can in a
Right,
in
right,
a
a
certain
confined
spot,
space.
you don't let them outside, they're in a confined
Ah.
space, and their stress levels go through the roof. And
Yeah.
yeah, they're, you know, I think if you put that many people together in a confined space, we'd start biting and eating each other too. So, yeah, that's yeah.
So they're being raised in a nice, kind environment,
Absolutely.
and that is just going to trickle down.
Yeah.
Um,
So, and also, yeah, it's exactly what goes into the meat is what comes out of the meat too. If you're raising a meat as quick as possible, without any regard for the animal, it's full of growth additives and hormones. So you're pumping them full of antibiotics because they're not in clean environments. They're in environments that are breeding disease and filth. Then you're going to have a meat that's going to have all that in that.
And we're going to eat that meat, and that's
Absolutely.
what's so important.
Yeah.
People think, well, it's cheaper to eat that meat, but do they recognize what it's doing to their own bodies,
I don't think so.
putting
yeah.
those chemicals and
Yeah.
additives and all those other things into them?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, people are buying how many dollars worth of vitamins and supplements and things because that's going to make them feel better. Eat properly and buy your food properly, and you don't have to worry about that. Now, look at how brown this is.
I
Isn't
see
that
that.
beautiful?
So you're just
So
kind of browning it.
I'm just browning them, and as soon as I think that that's done, I'll take them off, and then I'm going to make a delicious sauce with the lemon and the chicken stock, some nice spicy salty capers, some parsley leaves, and then, because we love butter, we're just going to thicken that sauce a little tiny bit with some butter and add the chicken back in, and we'll be eating in no time.
Lisa, if you don't mind, I have a quick question about the chicken. When I'm cooking chicken and all our customers, the biggest fear about cooking chicken is undercooking it.
Right.
With this, just browning it, how do you be able to get the cooked right through?
Well, this is a really tiny little fillet, and I've cut it in half already.
Right.
So if you've got a big, nice, thick chicken breast, I would cut it this way in
Yeah.
half horizontally, and it really only needs about 4 minutes aside. Now, if you're worried about that, because overcooked chicken is awful.
Exactly, that's the other side
That's
to it.
right. So I'm going to wait till it's brown. I'm going to make a sauce. Then I'm going to turn my heat down, bring the chicken back, and it's really just bathing that chicken
Right.
for a few more minutes until it's done. Start to finish, this is a 10-minute dish,
Yeah.
which is great. The other thing I love to do with chicken is use a frying pan like this on my stove and take a bone-in, skin-on chicken breast that I've seasoned, and I sear it skin side down so it gets nice and crispy.
Yeah.
I turn it over and put the whole frying pan in the oven at 400 for about 15 minutes. So it's already cooked a great deal through, skin side down. I
Right.
finish it in the oven, and it's so juicy and wonderful because it's still on the bone,
Yeah.
and it still has that nice crunchy
Yeah,
skin
absolutely.
that I'm not ready to give up on yet. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this out and put it on a cutting board right now. I don't want to put it on a plate that had raw chicken. Okay. And now I'm going to make our sauce. So I'm going to put our lemon juice in there, and I'm going to turn down our heat so it doesn't splash us too much. I'm going to add our chicken stock. Okay, now we're going to reduce this, and I'm just going to use a spatula to get all those brown bits. And this is going to make a great pan sauce, and you can do this with anything. You can do it with pork chops, you can do it with steak. In the wintertime, I often do steak in a cast iron frying pan and then make the sauce. So while this is reducing, we're just going to take a quick commercial break.
Yep.
We're going to come back, and we're seconds away from trying this delicious dish.
Excellent.
Okay, this is reduced perfectly. So we're down to almost a little bit of a syrup. I'm going to add those salty, briny capers. Do you like capers?
I do like capers, yeah.
So capers are neat because they're kind of picklish. And now I'm going to add this butter, and we're going to just ever so gently stir this pan. We want to melt that butter gently so that it stays a nice velvety type texture. And then I'm going to add our chicken back in to finish cooking.
I really like the tip you were giving about adding the oil to the butter so it doesn't,
So it doesn't burn.
so it
Yeah,
doesn't
that's.
burn. I find that.
I use that for everything.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got that. Okay, so in that quote I read, or not quote, but in your website, you talk about sustainable farming and preserving. How do you do that? How do you preserve the land for future generations?
Yeah, so I guess as quick as possible because I could go on forever about that. So basically, it's the idea is not, a lot of farming can be just take.
Right.
Put in inputs, whatever will grow you that crop that year, and that's it. So what's important to us is the biology of the soil. In organic farming, the philosophy behind it is if you look after the soil and build really good soil health, the soil will look after your plants. And we do that a few different ways. One is depending on our tillage practices. Sometimes we will grow something called a cover crop or a green crop. We're actually just growing a crop
To
and
help the
putting
soil.
it right back into the soil. We're feeding the soil basically. We're adding organic matter, or we're growing a legume crop that's going to fix nitrogen in the soil. So that's one end of it and what we're doing in our fields. But then the other side to it too is also preserving the biodiversity around our farm and creating buffer strips. So we are currently planting trees on our property in certain areas to reduce wind,
Right.
which then reduces erosion and keeps that soil health and quality and benefits our crops. And the other side to it is it also creates areas for wildlife to live and thrive and grow. And there's certain programs right now through the government, species at risk programs, because what we're starting to see is through farming practices and growing corn right to the edge, or taking out a fence row so we can grow another 20 feet of corn. We're losing the diversity of the wildlife on our farms and in our area. Bird species are at risk, bug species are at risk, the monarch butterfly is at risk. So real things that are a real part of our culture and are important, that as much as people might not realize, we're starting to lose. So that's important to us, to be able to create those strips for those animals to establish themselves, survive, and in turn that benefits us on our farm. If we have more birds on our property, they're eating bugs.
Right.
If we have strips for beneficial insects to thrive, pollinators would be an example
where
of that.
Where do you learn all this? Like, you've got so much
Yeah.
information. So tomorrow I want to be a farmer.
How would you go about doing it?
Yeah, and I know you train people to be a farmer,
That's
but
right.
how do we do that?
There's a lot of different ways. Some people would go to school for it.
Okay.
There's different school programs. Fleming College has a program. Trent University has a program. University of Guelph has programs in sustainable ag. I tell people the best way to go about it is to go work on a farm. Farming
Right.
is a very hands-on learning experience. And so the best way to do that, we are part of an organization called CRAFT, which stands for Collaborative Regional Alliance for Farmer Training. and that's a farmer-run group that trains new farmers through internships. So someone will sign up, they will come onto the farm, they'll live on the farm, they'll experience what the farm's like, they live the day-to-day, they're working with me in the field all the time. I'm explaining we're doing this because of so and so and so. We do workshops with them, so that's one way. I myself learn, I didn't do a program like that. I grew up on the farm, so some of it I learned that way, and growing up in the rural community, I learned a lot too. A lot of reading. There's a lot of good books out there, information. I go to a lot of workshops, seminars, and I'm continuing learning. I think one of the best things I like about farming is I feel like I know this much about farming, and there's like this much to know. You never stop learning about farming. You're always creating new ideas, you're trialing things, so
and I think that that's so important, but I love the idea that you can go to school, but that there's almost a co-op situation with it as well.
Yeah,
you need both.
Absolutely,
you have to
and
do
in
both.
some of those programs, like the Fleming program, I think it's a 3-semester program, so one semester is in class, then you go on a farm for the summer, then you're back in class, and that's a really good way, I think, for students to get a good grasp on what it means to farm and the book smarts behind it, but then also the practical knowledge and experience behind it, which you have to have.
Okay, mister, here's my chicken piccata.
That looks delicious.
All right, I want you to dig in and tell me what you think. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm just going to tell everybody how we're supposed to get in touch with you, and if people want your website, it is www.willowwind.ca. And
that's delicious.
Do you like it?
Really good,
is that something that you could whip up for all the people on your farm?
I think so, yeah, or just for myself, because it's so good.
So we can see you at the Uxbridge Farmers Market.
At the Uxbridge Farmers Market.
We can see you in the city.
The market's in the city.
But can we come to your farm?
We do. We don't have a store on our farm. We're on a dead-end road.
Right.
And because we're working on the farm a lot, having people come by, just dropping in randomly, takes a lot of time out of actually farming. But
if they
check on the website, we do have certain days where we have groups come to the farm. I'll do a farm tour, explain about how we grow things and raise things.
And in my store, The Passionate Cook here, I have a lot of your handouts. So people can come in and they can actually order what cut of meat. You don't have to have a whole side of beef.
Because a lot of people just have a small little freezer.
That's right. And you want to buy it when you want it, when you feel like it. So I'll buy 10 different pieces of pork, a couple of steaks, whatever. And I love that. And so I give those out here if people want them.
For sure.
Your CSA in the summer, that's another thing that you do with the baskets of fruit and vegetables. Well, vegetables now.
Vegetables mainly, yeah.
But I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. I mean, we could talk forever about farming and what it takes, but I really wish people would go out onto the farm and look at your website and see exactly what it is and taste your pork. I mean, I've had your lamb too, and I've had other cuts, but your pork's amazing.
You got to taste the difference, right?
Yep, you got to taste the difference. That's good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.